Good morning, good people. Hello, Nicole Cooper here, and it is Thursday morning, April 20th, 2017, and it's about 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, for those of you that are able to chime in, that is awesome. If you're on the West Coast at 6 a.m., I wanted to hop on this morning and just really kind of inject into all of you the power of acting as if. Good morning, Keisha King. Good morning, Kim Moore. Good morning, everybody. I just want to spend a few seconds with you guys to talk to you about the power of acting as if and how you can instantly change your circumstances by doing so. All right. So if you've just joined us, let us know what part of the world you are in. Go ahead and share this out with some people. I want to spend a few moments with you guys this morning. I was sitting here doing some journaling and going through some of my, this is my journal. I think it's so critical to journal every day. You will find that some of your greatest revelations come from journaling. So I journal with highlighters and colored pens. I got my book here. One of my favorite books that I'm tearing into right now. This book is a game changer. You'll see tons of notes, writing. So today we're going to talk about some things that have been revealed to me through just time that I spend in the morning in my word, in my journal, and in these books. Okay, so if you just joined us, my name is Nicole Cooper from NicoleSCooper.com. Glad to see all of you. Mia from Chicago. Good morning, Michael Muse. Good morning to see all of you. I don't come on as often these days because I am getting work done, right? Hey, Natasha, good to see you. Great morning, everybody. So let me talk to you guys about the power of acting as if. Okay, the power of acting as if. You said the weather looks so good in Florida. Yes, I am here in sunny Florida, in Cape Coral, Florida, where we live. So, hey, Morrisville, North Carolina, Kelly Jones, Trenton, New Jersey, Natasha, Pauline from the Big D, Detroit, Jeff Simpson, my guy. I'll be calling you shortly, by the way, sir. Kim Moore. Awesome, thank you. All right, so let me talk to you guys about the power of acting as if, all right? The power of acting as if. I'm coming to Miami, Jeff. You know I'm coming to spend like a whole week with y'all soon. So we're going to talk about that. But guys, listen. I want each of you guys to think back to your childhood, all right? Think back to your childhood. Think back to your days of innocence where you weren't exposed to life's challenges and bills and responsibilities and all the things that go along with the growth and progression of life. And think about how much you freely connected with your imagination. How you freely came up with ideas and possibilities and things that you felt were, hey Kenya, things that you felt were really possible in your future, and how there was no limitations to where your imagination took you. There was no restrictions. There was no, well, what if it doesn't work? There was no, well, what if I'm not good enough? There was none of those limitations. It was pure imagination, pure vision, pure possibility, and just a pure connection to the outcome. I want you to think about what did that feel like and what did you used to envision, okay? What did that feel like and what did you used to envision? As a child, when you allowed your imagination, your vision, your dreams, your ideas, what did that look like? You probably said, oh, you know what? I'm going to be a rocket, a rocket, whatever, right? I forgot what they call them, an astronaut. Girls want to be ballerinas, or some of us who watched the Cosby Show growing up, we wanted to be Claire Huxtable, and we wanted to have a Bill Huxtable, right? We wanted to have be attorneys or doctors or lawyers or entrepreneurs or travel the world. Or for me, one of my dreams was to be an airline attendant because I wanted to travel the world. But I want you to think about that childlike ability to go into your imagination and completely immerse yourself in the possibilities of what you see in your vision and what that felt like. Now, I want you to see that, because when we talk about acting as if, I want you to come to who you are today and ask yourself, What is it that you still see, but you continue to bury with all these thoughts of limitations? The thoughts of, what if it doesn't work out? I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I'm not smart enough. I've gained too much weight. I got to lose more weight. My kids are in the way. I need to go back to school, or maybe I need to take more classes. I need this, I need that. All the languaging that gets into our head that begins to bury the possibilities of what we see in our imagination. What I want you to do is, for just this few minutes that you're with me, I want you to take all those barriers and fears and questions and limitations and all that stuff that has your vision buried way up underneath all this fear and limitations and possibilities. Take all the limitations and possibilities and push them to the side. And give yourself permission for the next 3 to 5 minutes to let that vision, that imagination, that goal, that dream, that thing that you felt was so possible, but you let all the questions begin to suppress. I want you to push all the doubt, the fear, the worry, the life aside, and let this thing right now take precedence. This imagination, this vision, this concept, this idea, this visual connection to who you feel you can possibly become. If you are able to close your eyes, thank you, Peggy, close your eyes and start picturing, what does that look like? Who are you? What are you doing? How do you feel? How are you dressed? Where are you in the world? What is the moment that is being created? Are there people that you're standing in front of? Or are you surrounded by the people that you love? What are you doing? I want you to immerse yourself in the visual connection of what that looks like. Remove any noise, remove any question marks, and just immerse yourself in your imagination and your vision and the possibilities. And what I want you to do is hold on to that and act as if that is who you are right now in your life. Guys, listen. One of the things that I've always learned as a kid was the power of our imagination and how God allows your dreams, your visions. There's one of my favorite quotes that says, "Dreams are illustrations from the book your soul is writing about you." That vision you have in your imagination, that vision that when you close your eyes, you see it so clear and you're so connected to it, you can feel it. You see what you have on. You can hear the laughter in the air. You can see the people giving you the applause. You can feel the joy of the moment. You can see yourself in your greatest self. That is God's way of saying, that's who I created you to be. That's why I put you on this earth. That's why I've planted this vision inside of you, because the life that you've given yourself has become a limitation of the abundance that I wanted you to operate in and the abundance that I wanted you to operate from. You see, guys, what we have to learn and what we have to understand is that the human mind is so limited in its ability to connect with God's so great and grand vision for us, that we have to know that the imagination that God gives us is the ability to tap into our faith to know that there's so much more in this world for me than what I'm living. So many of us are allowing the noise, the environment, the news, the circumstances, our current reality to begin to remove God's desire for our lives. And we don't understand that who you are is just a minuscule part of why you were born. I remember my pastor always used to say, how would you like to get to heaven and have God show you who you could have been and what you could have done? My friends, who God has called you to be, who he's called you to become, is that very person you see in your imagination. The thing that you see when you close your eyes and there's no limitations, that's why they always have this question, who would you be and what would you do if you knew failure wasn't an option? Most of us have the ability to come up with 1,000,001 things because we realize that failure has been our greatest barrier for tapping into who God has called us to be. And so we understand that if I think about that question, who would I become and what would I be doing if failure wasn't an option? we begin to understand that there is really something great inside of me, but I allowed failure to take precedence and priority over my thoughts to the point where it's taken dominion over my life. Guys, this morning, I want to encourage you to act as if who you see in your imagination is already who you've become. I don't care if you're on welfare right now. I don't care if you feel like your marriage is falling apart right now. I don't care if your kids are acting wayward and you feel like you failed as a parent right now. I don't care if you've made some of the biggest mistakes recently that you feel has altered your circumstances and you want to go back and tell yourself all the reasons why you're a failure. I want y'all to remove all that stuff because I want you to understand that no matter what mistakes we've made, no matter what things we've done that are wrong, the Word of God tells us that God allows all things to work together for the good of those that are called and they live according to His will and purpose. So what does that mean? That means that every mistake you made, God can take it and turn it around for your good. Because nothing you do can alter what God created you to be. The difference is the world that we live in holds us accountable to every mistake that we make, and they try to tell us that your ability and possibility to live who God has called you to be is based on the decisions that you make and the mistakes that you've made. So the world tells us that if you failed a lot of times, or you've made some dumb decisions, or you've done some dumb things, or maybe some chaos is happening in your life, it disqualifies you from your ability to operate in what God has called you to be. But that's the biggest lie, the biggest myth, and the biggest trap and scheme of the enemy, which is why we have to learn to tap into God's unfathomable, abundant forgiveness, right? His forgiveness, because God does not hold us to the things that the world holds us to. The world holds us to mistakes, failures, challenges, struggles, life, reality. God's like, you know what? That's why I'm here. None of that matters. Move it out the way. None of that matters. Move that out the way. All you need is me. But the world's like, nope, you got to be perfect. And God's like, nope, all you need is me. I don't care what you've done. I don't care what mistakes you've made. I don't care what your circumstances are. Move that out the way. Operate in what I've called you to operate in. Tap into your imagination and let's live, right? And so what I want you guys to understand today is that all the things that you've allowed to become your reality. Some of us allow our financial situation to dictate our assignment on life. Some of us allow whether we've gone to college and gotten a degree to dictate whether we can be successful in life or not. Some of us are allowing everything about us to dictate if we are qualified to be who we've been called to be. And today I want you to understand that here's what I had to learn. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies your call. I repeat that. God does not call the qualified. He qualifies your call. So what that means is that you don't need no qualifications to live in the abundance of what God has called you to live in. All you have to do, guys, is begin to allow your imagination to take precedence of your thoughts and begin to act as if who you desire to be in that imagination is already manifested in your life right now, right? So I know this sounds very opposite to what most people teach and believe, but this is why we operate from a place of God's way of doing things and not the world's way of doing things, because the world's way of doing things is only based on what they can see with the eyes. God's way of doing things is what we can see in our vision and in our mind, because the way that God speaks to us is He downloads into us based on through our dreams, through our visions, and through our mind's eye. He doesn't function in the world's eyes. And so the way that this works is that, and hold on one second because my phone is about to die. So let me get my husband to get my charger. Hold on. Babe, can you bring me the charger in my computer so I can connect it? So the way that this works, you guys, is that we have to begin. There's a couple of things that you have to do. The first thing you got to do is you got to take possession of this right here, this mind. Okay? as we all know about quotes, quotes tells us that thoughts become things. And so he that will win is he that begins to consume your thoughts. I shared with this weeks ago. Thank you, babe. I think the phone charger is plugged up in the corner, and then I'll plug the phone up to this. Thank you. But we all know that thoughts become things, and whatever we allow to consume our thoughts what will dictate our belief system. And then our belief system will dictate how we respond to things that happen in our lives. So if we believe that we are who we see in our imagination, no matter what is happening around us, we're constantly rehearsing internally that I am this person. I have accomplished this. No, not this green one, the white one. The green one doesn't work. The white one is in the corner by the coffee maker. We begin to rehearse things. See, the thing about what you think, whatever you allow your thoughts to dwell on, those things are going to control how you live, how you respond, how you interact, how you engage, how you accept who you are in your life, right? Babe, just plug this laptop up for me. Thank you. But the way that, let's pray, I hope that this charges. Thank you. Hold on, y'all, charge. We got to get charges going on. Thank you. But the way that we begin to live our lives is based on what we rehearse internally. And so if we walk around here and we feel like, man, every time I take 3 steps forward, I always got to take 10 steps back. That's a conversation of defeat. So what that conversation does is begin to create an expectation of failure in everything that I do. Meaning that no matter how much I attempt to make life work, it's always going to work against me, and I'm always going to be pushed back in defeat. So that defeatist mindset begins to create an internal conversation that rehearses this expectation over and over and over and over again. So what happens is no matter what's happening in your life, when things begin to get good, guess what? You're going to say, oh, stuff is too good. Something bad is about to happen. And then when something bad happens, you be like, see, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Every time I try to take 3 steps forward, I got to take 10. You're rehearsing that. So as you rehearse that, that's beginning to create your thought pattern. Your thought pattern is creating your belief system. Your belief system is connecting to your expectation. And your expectation is looking for failure to happen in your life. That's why most people struggle. Because you adopt these different mindsets, these different cliches. You know, only the rich get rich and the poor get poor. You know, money don't grow on trees. I'm broke. All these different things. I don't even want to say half the stuff that we tend to say because I don't want those things to be a part of my life. But what I want you to understand is that aside from all these mindsets that we've adopted over the years, because all of us have been in cultures that have made these things staples in our mindset, and they become what we call limiting beliefs, what we have to do is begin to rehearse a different conversation in our head. Now, what it takes to change the conversation in your head is going to be a lot of different things that you have to do. I'm going to say a lot. A few key things that you have to do, but you're going to have to make some changes, all right? One of the first things that you have to do is be careful what you listen to. Be careful what you adopt in your everyday conversation. You know, one of the things that I've gotten into the habit of doing is I don't allow casual conversation to violate my thought pattern. So what I mean by that is I'm not going to be on the phone with somebody and they start speaking a defeatist mindset and I start being a part of that song. And I say, yep, you so right, girl, times, yep, it's such a struggle, stuff is crazy. No, if I start hearing somebody coming with that mindset, I shut them down. You know what? Nope, I don't agree with that. And I correct them and I let them know, like, no, you're not going to get on this phone with me and begin to create this atmosphere of defeat and begin to allow that stuff to get into my ear gate to be an imposition or a violation of my thoughts that I practice every single day and allow that to become a part of my life just because I gave you 30 seconds of pity. Nope, not doing it. If you're going to be on the phone with me, if you're going to have access to me in a conversation, if you're going to be in any proximity to me where your words can have any influence over my thoughts, I'm going to make sure that I nip stuff in the bud before it becomes a violation to what it is that I have made an intention to create in my life. So that's why casual conversation is not, I don't necessarily engage in that. I don't spend a lot of time on the gossip, the celebrity news, nope. I'm very protective about my space, about my mind, about my thoughts, about the conversations that I have. Very, very protective. Even with my children. So if my children come to me and they want to whine and complain and nope. Let's clear this up right now. I don't want to hear the whining. I don't want to hear the complaining. Let's talk about the goal. What is the goal that we want to accomplish? What is the result that we need to create? Right now, you're looking at all the problems and trying to make it a prevalent reality, and it's not. Remove all these complaints and whining, get the result. That's what I teach my children. My kids, they want to complain about cleaning up. Okay, well, here's how we're going to work this out. If you want to do your artwork brings you joy. You want to get that experience and that result of joy from doing your art. That means that the art goes along with the cleanup. So the art is going to help you get the result that you want, which is the ability to create your art. So you got to clean up in order to produce your result. That's a part of the process. Like I teach my kids that I don't play whining. I don't nurture and all the whining. I don't do that. My son is 5, my daughter's 9. We don't do that. Like we nip that stuff in the bud early on. I don't let them engage in conversation about fear with news. We don't talk about people. Nope, not doing that. Right? And you have to learn, my people, you have to learn to protect your space and what you allow as a casual conversation in your life, because it will become a violation to your ability to see what God has called you to do. And then you'll begin to adopt the fears, the thoughts, and the beliefs of other people. Okay? So that's number 1. Number 2, you have to erase and replace. You have to erase and replace. Some of us were in environments where we were subjected to stuff that we just couldn't control, because unfortunately as children, we don't get to pick our environments. And so you might have been raised in environments where conversations of struggle, you've witnessed a lot of stuff, you've heard a lot of stuff. You couldn't control it. You couldn't control it. It wasn't your fault. You were just subjected. I see a lot of circumstances right now with kids where I'm praying for them to overcome their environment and still be able to live who God has called them to be despite their circumstances, because I want them to see that this struggle that I'm in is my inspiration to change my future, right? So what you have to do is erase and replace. Erase and replace. So how do you erase and replace? So those things that became dominant staples in your thought patterns because they were rehearsed, whether they were rehearsed from your parents, whether you heard them just from your community, whether you heard them from your church, whether you heard them from your school, whatever environment you were in, they shape and mold your thoughts. So what you have to do, guys, is you have to begin to invest in resources that will show you a new way of thinking. Sorry, a phone call came in. If we pause for a minute, I'll be coming right back. The reason why I invest in a lot of books, my husband thinks that I am like the biggest, I'm like the biggest book geek in the world, is because we all have a certain level of exposure based on how we're raised, okay? And so when you've had this limited access to the world, the way that you can get quick access to a new way of thinking and other encounters, other experiences, other cultures, other this, other that, is in books. There's so many people that talk about Viola Davis. So Viola Davis, the actress, was raised in extreme poverty to the point where they ate out of trash cans. Okay? Her house they lived on a plantation in like this broke down house. Her grandfather was a slave. It was just this whole very poverty-stricken circumstances. And she said there were holes in her floor. They would be freezing at night. They never knew where food was going to come from. But the only escape they had were books. And she talked about how she would read these books and they would take her to another world. And then her and her sister would begin to become actresses of acting out the characters of these books. And so the book expanded and gave them exposure beyond where they were and allowed them to adopt a new mindset and a new belief and a new experience and a new opportunity through their mind that they enacted. And guess what? They began to act as if they were the characters of this book that took them out of their circumstances and into a whole new way of living, that they began to internalize what they were exposed to through those books as their reality. Now here it is one of the first African-American women that were nominated for 3 different awards. I think the Emmys, the Tonys, and Oscars, right? Because she acted as if she was who she wanted to become, and that helped her to escape her circumstances. When you begin to invest, I never knew why I was so infatuated with books. I'm infatuated with books, with biographies. I love hearing about people's stories. I love hearing about what they went through to get to where they are. I love hearing about people's processes. And every single time you watch a biography, you're going to see the person's childhood, what they went through, how they progressed in life, the big climatic encounter that they had that was some major struggle and frustration, what they did to overcome it, and how it took them to a whole new way of living, and they became who they are today. But they always highlight the pain of that person's story. Always. Watch biographies. I used to be a subscriber to Hulu, and Hulu changed it. I think they had this show called Game Changers, and I can't remember, but I used to sit and just binge. And Game Changers, I don't know if that's the name of it. That's what's coming to my mind right now. But it was stories of entrepreneurs and how they got to where they wanted to be. So you had the story of Sergey Brin and his partner, the founders of Google. You had the guy who was the founder of, I forgot it was just all these founders of businesses. What blew me away is, of all the stories that I saw of these entrepreneurs who have grew these multi-million and sometimes billion-dollar businesses, there was a consistent thread in most of these people. Most of them had learning disabilities. Some of them had dyslexia. Some of them had just different types of dysfunction in their early learning experience, where they mentally checked out of school early on because they could not connect. But them checking out made them very exploratory of other things that caught their interest. So they realized, I suck at school. I don't even know why it's worth giving this a try. I'm going to find something else that occupies my time. And so what they did is they may have found a TV, and they dismantled the TV, and they began to understand how the TV works. And then the computer came out, and they dismantled the computer. And next thing you know, they're these big software developers, or they're the founders of Google, or they're this, that, and the other. But it blew me away how most of these successful multi-millionaire billionaires had learning disabilities. They didn't go to college. They didn't feel qualified. Or they tried going to college and they realized, I can't fit in here. I'm going to find what I'm passionate about, and I'm going to act as if I'm already that person. And magically, voila, they've become these grandiose figures in the world that we are in today. So when we talk about erasing and replacing, this book is so critical, y'all, because it gives you words of affirmations. This teaches you how to train the brain to begin to speak what you desire and not what you're in. So it'll go in, for example, and it talks about if you're having a hard time, if you're having a hard time financially, right? Or if you're having a hard time with whatever, it just goes into declaring things over your life. So for example, if he's coming against a daily challenge, right? He begins to rehearse, this is God's day, a good day. I pronounce this day and all of its activities good, right? So no matter what your circumstances are happening, guys, it's called The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity. If you go to NicoleSpeaks.com, you can get a copy. NicoleSpeaks.com. One of the best books I've ever read. This is now officially one of my favorite books. I want to thank Jeff and Janella Simpson, who introduced me to this book. I've probably sold about 1,000 copies, or will sell 1,000 copies of this book. I love it. Catherine Ponder is built on biblical principles. You can go to Nicole Speaks and you can access it. That's kind of where all my books are. But go to NicoleSpeaks.com and you'll be able to see this book and other book. Nicole Speaks, Speaks, was where all my books that I recommend. all Catherine Ponder books are amazing. It's all biblical. She talks about the why God wants us to be rich and successful. One of the things that she talks about is that poverty. She talks about poverty is a form of disease. And it's when a human being, has not tapped into God's great abundance that he lives in poverty. When you're broke and when you're impoverished, it's because you have yet to tap into God's great abundance. Poverty is a choice. It's a choice. Y'all, it's a whole nother level. Mindset, y'all got to go get the book. But what I love about this book is constantly writing declarations. Even for those of you that have poor relationships with money. She teaches you how to attract money in your life. Money, 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 come to me. Money, 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 come to me. Like money can come to me easily and effortlessly. Financial doors are open. Financial channels are free. Whatever dollar amount that you desire to begin to attract into your life, you speak, come to me. You give money an opportunity to live in your life. Most of us are so afraid of money that we repel it. And it also teaches us that your disgust the words that you speak against other people's successful circumstances are going to destroy your desire for your own success. So if I had this issue, I hated I did not like labels. I thought labels were superficial. I didn't care less about all these names and, Gucci and Louis and this, that, and the other. And I found myself avoiding them. But I realized that by avoiding and rejecting just the luxuries of what God has allowed to be created, I was rejecting the ability for me to operate in a place of luxury. So I was cheapening my own value because I was rejecting something as if it was a good thing. And it was like, okay, if you want to reject the luxuries of what God has allowed to be created, you're subconsciously rejecting what God wants to bless you with because you feel like there is conflict in accepting that in your life. Not yet. Thank you, babe. So anyway, erase and replace. Go to NicoleSpeaks.com. Grab this book. Guys, listen. This book is so marked up. It's like I'm journaling about it. You can see, tons of marks and speeches, confessions, realizations, things that I have to erase and replace. Okay? Erase and replace. So the second thing was erase and replace. All right? So the first thing was control your atmosphere. The second thing was erase and replace. And the third thing is just to repeat what I said. Act as if you already are who you want to be. You already live where you want to live. You're already driving what you want to drive. You're already connected to who you want to be connected to. And you speak that thing as though it is manifested in your life. The Bible says, speak those things that aren't as though they are. Are the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Begin to speak those things. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. My people suffer and are impoverished due to a lack of vision, right? And a lack of knowledge. You want to expound on your knowledge. You want to embrace your vision. You want to act as if you're living in your imagination. And you want to begin to speak these things that aren't as if they are. This is a process, but it's something that you do little by little. So when you find yourself wanting to complain, and I saw somebody say something the other day about very, very influential person, very successful, went from poverty background to now being a millionaire. And you can see the struggle of accepting this, becoming a millionaire from the growth of poverty as a child. And I think sometimes when people go from poverty to success, we want to be apologetic about it because we go back to remember the struggle we had, and we feel sorry for those who are struggling. And so feeling sorry for them makes us sometimes want to reject what we've accomplished because there's guilt for your success. It's like this crazy dynamic. You got to be very careful about that. Which is what I love about this is this book is teaching me not to be apologetic about my success and not to be mournful about what I've been able to accomplish. But what I saw this person say was a complaint of a bill. Now, I complained all the time. Most of you guys, if you followed me, we complained about student loans, and I complained about IRS, and I complained about all this stuff, right? So one of the things that she taught us in this book is to be grateful for your bills. to praise God for your bills and to declare that every need that you have in an abundance of need. Like, really, she doesn't just even teach you to declare God's abundance on your life. No, declare what you want to earn. Mine is, I'm not going to talk about my number. You guys will hear about that soon. But I declare like 6 figures a week in my life. Just declare like 6, 7 figures a week. And I begin to rehearse that over and over and over and over again, that I don't even think anymore about the bills that come. I get excited with an expectation that every resource I need will always be able to take care of the bills, to the point where I'm grateful. Because one of the things that she teaches in here is everyone and everything prospers me now, and I prosper everyone and everything. So instead of grumbling about bills, I look at it as if I am a vehicle and a vessel of blessing, that the person who owns that company is able to benefit from me being a customer, that money flows in and through me, that I can write a check to be a blessing to their business, right? Totally different dynamic. So now I'm excited because I'm now thinking that everyone and everything prospers me now, and I prosper everyone and everything, which means that anybody who comes into contact with me, I want them to be prospered because they came into contact with me. If I come into your establishment, I want you to have one of your biggest nights of your life because I was able to cut a $10,000 check for me and all of my team to eat that night, and your business was blessed because I came into your establishment. When I come into your dealership, I want your business to be blessed because I came to your dealership, because maybe you were in a hole praying to God for a blessing and saying, God, I just pray that you allow somebody to come through my establishment that has the financial resources that can buy my product. And I'm that person that cuts that whatever check for that car that I want, 200 grand, boom, I give it to you. And I bless your business to have one of your biggest days of the month in months because I came to your establishment. That when I come and buy a house and you're the real estate agent, I contact you and I want to look for a house, and we go out and I tell you I got $1 million budget, but you show me a $3 million house. I go ahead and I buy that $3 million house because it's what I want and I got the resources, and you have your biggest day in business because of your in contact with me. You are blessed because everyone and everything prospers me now, and I prosper everyone and everything. So I no longer grumble about my IRS bills that come to me that are almost 6 figures a year, right? I no longer grumble about a bill that comes that might, doesn't mean you're stupid or you don't operate in a level of wisdom, but I no longer grumble about, right? I stopped couponing. I'm not being cheap no more. I'm not sitting here penny pinching for pennies or whatever. I was very, very restrictive, with myself and my money, trying to make sure every dollar goes everywhere. But I realized some of that was attached to fear and lack and feeling like I won't have an ability to replace that. And so I was spending energy, time, and effort trying to save pennies when God has called me to make millions every day, right? So it's like, no, I'm not going to any longer live my life in this minuscule mindset of lack. I'm going to focus on the abundance of who God has called me to create, because he gives me creative ideas, insight, and resources to operate from a place of abundance, because I am God's representation here on earth, which means that everywhere that I go, people are blessed and people are able to see the fruitfulness, the abundance, the prosperity, and the light of Christ everywhere that I go, to the point where everybody is asking me more about who I am and what I do, because I'm operating at a level that is beyond human capacity, that people are saying, I want what you got, which is internally Jesus, which means that they know that when I get connected to Jesus, they're going to be in a position of abundance and prosperity, and no lack shall ever be a part of their life another day in their life. And so now they understand the abundance of God, and they can receive and they can live and operate in it. Whole nother level of mindset. A whole nother level of mindset. And so now when I speak, even with my husband, I tell my husband all the time, we now speak visualizations of what we desire. We're not going to grumble and complain about where we are or what we're doing or what we see or what the circumstances are. We're not going to complain, right? When we start thinking about what we want, we don't think about it from an I wish standpoint. We think about it from a this is what we're experiencing standpoint, where we're in our beautiful home. We got this, we got that. Our home is filled with friends. We're having, our friends, we're having a dinner party. The table is beautifully designed, and we have some of the most wonderful neighbors. And, we just begin to speak those things that we desire to manifest because there's a desire in our heart that we want fulfilled. So instead of grumbling about where we are, we're beginning to speak life into where we desire to go and act as if it's already manifested. You see, guys, complaining gives your fears the right to have rent free in your mind. The more you begin to allow yourself to meditate and dwell on the things that you don't want, you invite them into your life, which is why the power of acting as if gives you the freedom to think about what you desire and invite that into your life and say, you have permanent residence in my life here because I'm acting as if it's already manifested. Most of us don't understand that the subconscious mind or your mind, period, does not know the difference between what's real and what's fake. So if you can alter the thoughts of your mind and act as if it's your reality, you're mentally telling yourself that this is your real life, which means that everything about you, energy-wise, spiritually-wise, physically, emotionally, is all falling in alignment with that vision, and it's inviting every resource you need in your life from all directions. So what happens is when you begin to speak those things that aren't as though they are, when you begin to act as if what it is that you see in your mind's eye is really your reality, when you begin to live your life with an expectation that who I am in my vision, in my imagination is who I am in real life, all the resources and everything that you desire begins to show up to support you and accommodate you in a way that miracles and supernatural things begin to manifest in your life. So what that means is I read this today, and I'm a close on this end, okay? I read this today, and this is so good. It talks about discouragement, and it talks about when you're in frustrating places where there is, the way that they talk about it is downcast, okay? It says, when you seem downcast, it is helpful to remember that it is darkest just before the dawn of new good. Despair is usually an emotional indication that the tide is turning and that the dawn is coming sooner than you think. As you continue to travel within, the without will take care of itself. So what does that mean? It means that when you're hitting hardships back to back to back to back to back, when you feel like no matter, how much you try to have these visuals, no matter how much you really want to believe that all things are going to work for your good, no matter how, all these different things, right? No matter how challenging, no matter how much you want to be positive, you see challenges all around you. What it's saying is that hardship and despair it means that you are closer than you think to the turning of the tide for your life to go into a new season. Opposition comes when your ability your resurrection of your power is on the brink of its greatest place. So in a spiritual sense, demonic forces only attack people who have discovered the power of who they are in God. And so the enemy gets scared when he's like, oh snap, she woke up, she knows who she's called to be. She's operating in who she knows she is. We got to bring all the forces against her, because if we let her get out this house today, if we let her get out there and do what she's called to do, you know how many people are going to be impacted. We got to increase the forces that much stronger to suppress her ability to believe that she or her focus to be able to do what she's called and assigned to do on this day. So the forces come so strong. They come so strong. And I'm going to share something with you guys on a personal note, and then I'm going to wrap this up. But guys, here's what I really want, and I'll just rehash those 3 things that you have to do to begin a transition. You want to begin to protect your atmosphere. Friends are so critical, and there are seasons where isolation is critical. Sometimes we are around friends too much to the point where we're looking for validation for everything that God has called you to do. I'm coming out of a season of isolation. I cut everybody kind of off. And not in a negative way. I just remove myself from everybody's voice to get internally to hear, God, what is it that you desire for me to do? Who is it that you've called me to be? And where is it that I'm supposed to be standing right now? What is it that you want? I don't want no distortion. I don't want no confusion. I don't want no influence over your voice. I need to hear completely from you. And whatever it takes to put myself in position to hear from you, I'm willing to do that. And I will saturate myself in you. I will saturate myself in your word. And I will sit underneath this prayer with expectation to hear from you. And I'm going to sit here until I hear what you tell me to do. And it's been the best, most beautiful encounter of my life. And I never, ever, ever will discourage anybody when they need that time alone to not take it. Sometimes most people make you feel guilty for taking those seasons off. Do what you got to do, guys, and learn how to get in the presence of God and say, Lord, I ain't doing nothing till I hear from you. And it don't mean you don't do anything, right? But you saturate yourself and to hear just his voice. I don't need to hear mama's voice. I'm not calling mama and daddy for their opinion. I'm not calling best friend. You know, I'm not even going to my husband and saying, what do you think? I'm going to sit and hear what the Lord thinks, and I'm going to pray that God allows what he's telling me to do is in alignment with the environment that I'm in, that when I do talk to my husband confirms that he heard the same thing, right? So that's kind of where I've been. So here's how God works. God has given us an assignment. We're operating in that assignment. There's a lot of beautiful things that are happening behind the scenes. 6 months ago or 5 months ago, we sold everything we owned. We moved down here to Florida with my mother-in-law, and we had a goal of getting debt-free. And we had a goal of just really, I don't even know. I think in the beginning we didn't know what we were doing. We thought it was just debt-free, and then we quickly realized that God was doing something else in there. It really was about us getting quiet and being able to cut off all the noise, all the hustle and bustle and doing what everybody else was doing and feeling like I had to continue to stay relevant and all this stuff. He just wanted me to just, Nicole, go sit your butt down. Just go sit down. And so I went on ahead. We came down here, and so many things magically manifested for us to get here and for us to do what we needed to do. But we quickly realized that this was more about me hearing God's instructions about what I needed to do professionally, and what my assignment was and all these other things. So all this stuff magically happening. My mother-in-law, had allowed us to come stay here, minimize our overhead so I wasn't dealing with stress. And there was this whole circumstance of just ease. Well, my mother is renting her home, right? And she let the landlords know, my son's here, blah, 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 blah. Well, they live in another state. And so they told her they were coming down. And so we were like, oh, okay, cool, they're coming down. Well, she's not here sometimes, right? This becomes a vacation home. And so we have the ability to be here to take over when she's not here. And so they came, and come to find out, they didn't like kids in their home. And it was this whole ordeal about us being here. And so they came to us 2 days ago and was like, we want y'all out of our house with all of your stuff by 5 o'clock tomorrow. That's no problem. We can go ahead and we can figure out what we need to do and we can move on. But how it happened was that there's been so many weeks where there's one key thing that God has called me to do and told me to do that is the gateway to really open up my new season and just some stuff that is happening. And this came in, it was like so many little distractions, and this came in as a big deterrent to try to shake us up, right? So I get a call, I'm at my office, and it's like, we got a problem. They want you guys to have all your stuff packed, and you need to be out by tomorrow at 5. Well, okay, we got a garage full of stuff. Our kids are in school till the end of the year, right? And so so immediately I'm in my office, just sat down to get work done on this big project that I'm working on. And I can feel the enemy trying to shake me up, to get fearful, to get worried. So we have a conference call. And I told my husband, I said, listen, we got 2 choices. I said, the first choice is you can panic and you can give these people the power and the authority to speak in your life to where you react to their demand. Or the second choice is to understand who's really in control and that God has already worked this thing out. And this is a demonic attack of the enemy as a distraction that wants to see how we respond and if we're going to get into a place of panic to the point where we allow this situation to consume us. I said, I'm not doing that. These people are not getting my power. They're not getting my energy. I'm not about to sit here and give them any right or authority over my brain for the next 24 hours and start panicking and getting, moving trucks and this, that. I said, I ain't doing it. I said, so what we need to do is do some research and investigation. And then we're going to come to a conclusion and we're going to tell them what we're going to do. And so We had a meeting as a family. We called them people. They wanted us out by 5. We said, nope, we're not available at 5. You can come to the house at any time after 10 o'clock, before 2 o'clock, and we need to sit down. We're going to talk. And we prayed as a family. We talked about the situation. I thought about it from their side. I said, this is not personal. These people are just in a panic, and we can't respond to that. We have to understand that God is in control of this whole thing, and this is just the enemy on the side trying to pull us away from what we're supposed to do. Let's declare and decree the thing that we want, and let's sit them down and tell them how we're going to do it. And so we prayed, and these people who had these, egos a couple of days before, and control, this is my house, and blah, 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 blah. They came and they sat at the table. We took control of the meeting. We said we're not going to get out of character. We're not going to get emotional. We're not going to cuss them. We're not going to fuss them. We're going to just want to communicate and find out, what are you afraid of? Let us tell you who we are, because you don't really know us. And let us assure you that if it just is a matter of cutting a check to make you feel better and knowing that we'll protect your property and do everything you need to do, it's going to be done. And can I just tell you, we sat down with these folks, and long story short, it ended with us hugging, praying, and them looking at us and saying, thank you so much. We feel so much better. We like you guys. Whatever you need, let us know. And if you need more time, let us know. And we thank you. They thanked us. The enemy will come. The enemy roams around like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. When God puts you on assignment, you have to understand the authority and the dominion that you walk in, and you don't allow circumstances, people, or anything to take precedence over that one thing that God has shown you that has to happen. When God has given you a vision, He's told you what has to happen. You attach yourself to that thing, that no matter what happens, you declare and decree that this must happen, and you take dominion and authority to all those things around you to let them know that that's going to happen, and you do it in a very professional, mannerable, supportive way with great communication skills, and you let them know that this is what we're going to do to make it happen and just to make you happy. I'm willing to do this. I'm willing to do that to bring joy into your life, because remember, everyone and everything prospers me now, and I prosper everyone and everything. So I don't, even if you want to be irate, fuss, cuss me, get mad at me, guess what? I want to be a blessing into your life, because there's some bitterness and personal issues you got, and I want your encounter with me to be such a blessing that you go ahead and say, I'm so glad that I know you. I'm so glad that I met you. So I told my mother-in-law, I said, oh, when we leave here, we're going to cut them some checks. We're going to give them checks to make them say, oh my God, this was a blessing. We were at least expecting them to give us this amount of money, but we're going to cut them a check to say, thank you for entrusting us to be in your house. Here's a blessing into your life. And it's going to be a nice 4-figure check. I said, we're going to bless these people. I'm going to buy them a gift, a card, and I'm going to cut them a nice big fat check and let them know that we were very grateful and honored that we had the season here in your beautiful home, to be able to have a season of rest, to be able to hear from the Lord, and to be able to have a retreat. And I don't want you to feel like it was a violation of your desires, but it was a blessing to what you desire to happen in your life. And when you start operating from that place, y'all, we got to get away from being this hostility. We got to show people what we especially, so many of us want to show somebody how we feel. It ain't about how you feel. What is God declared over your life that must be manifested, so that in every circumstance you're a blessing to somebody? So in every encounter, you're a blessing to somebody. If you stop looking at stuff as a personal attack, and you start realizing the pain in somebody's emotions of how they respond, and you say, I'm here to be a blessing to them, and I want to prosper them in spite of how they acting towards me, you're going to suppress that demonic spirit that wants to bring hostility and fear and confusion, and you're going to do everything in love. And when God does everything in love and in decency and in order, lives are won over, hope is restored, change is manifested, and the greatest impact that could ever happen happens. And so this is a very long one. Y'all know I don't do like 15 minutes. But hey, it's all good. That's why I do them once a month or once every couple of months. But there's power in acting as if. And there is such an ability to instantly change your circumstances by controlling your thoughts, controlling your atmosphere, erasing and replacing things that you've thought all your years with things that teach you a new way of thinking. And it's a lot of opportunity for you to live in your imagination and not your reality. So wherever you are, my friends, wherever your challenge is, wherever your frustrations are, whether it's financial, whether it's relational, emotional, physical, health-wise, you might be going through some stuff in your health. Guys, understand that your health is a reflection of your mindset. So a lot of times what we manifest in our mind begins to manifest in our bodies, and it begins to bring a dis-ease, which is sicknesses. We begin to invite sickness into our life. Sickness is a dis-ease. There is a distress circumstance that is manifesting and breeding this pain, and it's beginning to manifest it in your physical. And so you have to figure out where that source is coming from and denounce it and rebuke it and heal from it with your words, forgiveness, so many other things. God, I could just be here with you guys for hours, but I gotta go. I have work to do, but I wanted to do this morning because I feel a move of God in these vehicles of Facebook Live, right? There's been drama and stuff going on with Facebook Live that many people have been rehearsing, and I declare that everyone and everything prospers me now, and I prosper everyone and everything. And so my mission and my goal when I turn this Facebook Live on is to be a vessel of change, hope. A lot of people are hopeless right now. We want to restore hope. We want to help people to understand that God has something so much greater for you. Don't allow the news and the media and the economy and politics and all this stuff to consume you. But get connected to where God has called you to be in this season and begin to be a blessing to your environment and your circumstances by saying, everyone and everything prospers me now, and I prosper everyone and everything. All right, Nicole Cooper here, guys. Head on over to Nicole Speaks, SPEAKS.com. Grab your book, Dynamic Laws of Prosperity. It will change your life. Share this video with every and anyone that you know can benefit and it could be a blessing to them. And I pray that you have the most prosperous, abundant day in your thoughts, in your relationships, in your connections, that you begin to feel a shift and a transformation in your life, that you begin to invite God into your life knowing that you are worthy of Him to be the active guide of your life, that you are worthy of everything that He has for you, and that you are worthy of every blessing, every level of abundance, you don't live your life just based on need, but God will give you all the desires of your heart. And I declare and decree on today that whatever was trying to hold you back from that imagination that God has placed in you, that vision that God has placed in you, all the fears, whatever, we rebuke, denounce, and no longer allow them to live rent-free in your mind, but that you will erase and replace those fears with words of affirmation and power and declaration of God's word to become and live and act as if you are already that great powerhouse that God has called you to be. So my friends, have a great, beautiful, abundant, and prosperous day. And I'll talk to y'all later.